Yep.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sup Talk Radio. Hope everybody is doing well. Selfishly, I decided to get the smartest guys in the industry together in hopes that I could bring up my IQ a couple of points. But as always, I am joined, no first-time guests here. We have Matt from Selfless. We have David from Mission to Muscle. And, of course, Captain Controlled Chaos, Robic of Apollo Nutrition. How is everybody?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing great, man.
Doing fantastic. Thank you kindly, brother.
So I'm excited because I know Robic and Matt, you guys interact a lot, and I'm excited to get actually you and David together, Matt, because I know you guys are like that scientific mad scientist, and I'm sure there's questions you want to ask each other. But one of the questions, Matt, right off the bat here, I got multiple people asking any new ingredients, anything coming out from you and the company, long-term, short-term.
Well, relative to what I'm doing is we're actually in some of the final stages of our intellectual property development, not only with what we're currently putting out to the market through great companies like Apollo Nutrition, but we've really centralized in as to what makes us very special and unique and one of one throughout the world, molecularly speaking. And because of that new pathway, it's opened up an entirely new pathway. And so my partner, Mike, and I are extremely excited about what we've got going on, and you guys are going to see some very major announcements from us this year alone. Nice. And this isn't typical industry stay tuned stuff. Like what we're going to be announcing is incredibly disruptive, and it's large in part substantiated what our theory's been for the past 10 years. And again, thanks to people like Rob that are leading the way and actually showing through proof of concept the range of what our stuff does, and then people like David who are actually able to actualize and articulate that to the audience at a very high level and a very low level. And I mean that respectfully because he can speak over anyone's head if he wants to, but he speaks in a way that people understand and comprehend the message he's trying to deliver. And if people walk away from a discussion with you without knowing a single thing that you just said, it was a bad discussion. And so that's why I really do like this little trinity that you have on the podcast right now, because we all very synergistically work well with one another, and we lean into each other's strengths very nicely.
That's awesome. If I want to jump in, that's awesome to hear, because I was just talking to Sean off of the podcast about, I was curious. Like one of my questions for you was, do you think that people really out there really understand the impact of Selfless on the body? Because I was going through the literature or the mechanisms of action, and there's over 30 signaling mechanisms of action with Selfless when it enters the body. I mean, that's a whole hell of a lot of health benefits there. I mean, it's way beyond these pump ingredients and even beyond the idea of oxidative stress. I mean, there's so many mechanisms in it. So I was just curious, like, do you think that people out there actually understand the impact?
They're getting there. They're getting there, thanks large in part to people like you, honestly, because when it comes to pump ingredients, I think people get a little bit intellectually lazy, and they go after convenient language of it's just nitric oxide, it's just vasodilation. We've heard those words for decades and decades. There's more. There's much more that goes on in the body mechanically. Listen to my cat yapping away. And one of the questions they always get is, what's the difference between this and Vaso-6? And first and foremost, the C of A. They're not the same. And moreover, the reason that we pivoted away from Vaso-6, which is what we refer to as our Apple iPhone 1, and we've upgraded the technology since, and we've really fine-tuned what it is that makes it special, which is why Vaso-6 was a phenomenal pump product. Rob, would you agree?
You see, the thing is, I think there is a bit of a misconception, and I think that initially Selfless was perceived as basically Vaso-6, and I think that, and this is my, because I'm always fully transparent about everything I say. I think it's Matt's fault and even my fault, because I think we treated it, or at least we didn't basically let the potential customers know the difference and the full benefits of it. I think we were a little bit late with delivering the full message of what potentially this ingredient does. because it was basically compared to nitrates and vasodrive and nitrosogene and citrulline. Basically, it was just thrown in this large bin as, okay, this is just another pump ingredient, good pump ingredient, but just a pump ingredient. And I think this is where initially we didn't deliver the full message. Maybe HR Labs, actually, they did a good job because they basically delivered a product that was not necessarily a pump product. It was more of a health product. And I think that's what's the main thing behind Selfless 6, that it's different from Vaso 6. Besides the mechanism, what it has, like David said, great health benefits. It's so versatile that right now, and again, I guess it might come a little bit like I'm turning my own horn, but it's true. Apollo is using Selfless 6 today, not just as a pump ingredient. We use it in a variety of different products because it has so many benefits, health benefits. I mean, and even if you're talking about pump as a pump ingredient, right? So I remember Matt sent me, I might have been the first one in the United States, or at least the first in the United States to receive Selfless 6 as a trial. But when Matt and I talked about the fact that we're going to do Bloody Hell, which is a combination of Selfless 6, nitrosogene, and vasodrive, I got all three as a single separate ingredient, and I tested them all. And all three of them, and I'm not talking about right now the science, I'm not talking about the literature behind it. I'm talking just how it works in the gym. That's the only thing.
Do you feel it?
How you feel it, exactly. Nitrosogene, great. Vasodrive, great. Citrulline, great. All of those ingredients are fantastic. I have nothing but great things to say about them. Selfless 6, particularly the difference between Selfless 6, and this is probably where Matt can explain why it's so, is different from nitrosogene and vasodrive. And how is it different? And again, this comes from me personally, so if somebody disagrees, I mean, I don't give a fuck. This is personally my experience. While I got great pumps from nitrosogene, I got great pumps from vasodrive, I preferred, and I stated it on record, Selfless 6. And the reason for that was that at the time when I was trying them, I was very, very lean. Like, my body fat percentage was very low. I was in great shape. And what I noticed with Selfless 6, I didn't have that volume, that puffy look, that pump, that kind of like a little bit of a watery pump. Right. With Selfless 6, it was very hard pump. It's not as large, it's not as volumized as the other ingredients, but it's very hard, it's very, very solid. And the vascularity, that's what really stood out. The vascularity on Selfless 6 is just not comparable to any other ingredient. And again, I mean, if you're a fat fuck or out of shape, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. You will feel the pump, and that's about it. But if you're really lean, that's where Selfless 6 really shines. In fact, I even recommended it to athletes before they go on stage to pop to Selfless 6, just because of the level of vascularity and that hardness that it provides. So I think that's the main difference. Am I wrong? Maybe. That's my personal observation. But if I'm not, then I guess Matt can probably explain the reason behind it a little bit better than I can.
Matt, you there?
Matt?
It's frozen.
Oh, yeah, it's frozen.
Come back in. We got him.
Well, maybe David knows.
David, you're the backup scientist here. What do you know?
Backup here.
Yeah.
Well, definitely Selfless 6 is stronger than Vaso 6. I've taken them both. And what I noticed about Selfless 6 is the longer you take it, those hard, dry pumps and vascularity get stronger and stronger. It's like I'm running Casanova right now before training in the morning, and still got to do a review on that, which I'm putting together. But just the amount of Selfless 6 combined with some of those other ingredients in there, I don't know what it is. I take 2 or 3 of those capsules in the morning before training.
And it's enough.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, I am tight for hours after that, especially as I've taken it more and more, continuously as far as the days go on.
Mm-hmm.
So he's back.
I don't know how much you heard from Robic, but I don't know if you want to kind of chime in on some of the, how we lost you.
Yeah, I have no idea what just happened. I had everything, it went away, and then it came back. So
No, basically, Matt, what I said is that from my observation, and David just confirmed that, it seems like Selfless 6 pumps, they don't have the same volume as the other ingredients, but the pumps are harder, tighter, and they provide more vascularity.
yeah, and that's one of the things, and it goes like full circle. It goes back to David's original question of there is something different about it. And the thing is, we did a great job at branding Dosage 6 as a pump ingredient, but it was only ever going to be a pump ingredient. It lacked a lot of the structure, function, benefits, and health and wellness claims that are important to me. I felt I was only just serving a slight microcosm of the market, and I mean that globally. And that's great. I want to improve people's workouts, the way they move their bodies in the gym, but it wasn't enough. Obviously, it's best enjoyed in a dynamic setting, not a static setting. And so we altered the molecular structure in such a way that it opened up the rest of the health and wellness benefits while keeping the performative and pump aspects. And so when we did this, the two first things that I did strategically was I wanted to get it to Rob because he's blunt. He's known for being blunt. And I told Mike, I said, look, he's going to tell us if we've got sugar or shit immediately. And he'll do it in his way. And the guy will either onboard it and champion it, or he'll tell us you need to go back to the drawing board. It didn't do anything for me. And then Rob creates the products we launch. And it was important for me. I even introduced my buddy Trung Nguyen, who's got We Go Home, to David, because I'm like, look, David's my personal proving ground. If you get it into his hands, he's going to tell you honestly, he's going to articulate what's good, what's bad. He'll do it respectfully. He's not out there trying to trash your ingredient panel or berate your product, but he will give you a genuine, honest review. And I know a lot of people fancy themselves honest reviewers, but at the end of the day, there's always going to be a little bit of bias. If everybody sends you a product, you're going to say good things about it and like it. But David has a way of saying, like, look, 9 out of 10, here's where I felt good things and here's where I didn't feel things. He knows his body very, very well. It's very dialed in. He's got a good routine, and he disrupts that routine consistently with new, different products because people are always sending him stuff. And so when you've got a guy like that is a hyper responder to supplements, and he introduces that disruption into his daily routine, you're going to be able to find those variances. And you can do that ingredient wise. Like, for example, as Rob was saying, he knows what he's going to get from nitrosine. He knows what he's going to get from Vasodrive. I can look at it just like you guys. I can look at a formula and know how I'm going to respond to it. And so, and right down to the dosage. So I know if it's going to go light, I know if it's going to go heavy, I know if I'm going to want to superset or if I'm going to want to max out. Like, there's all kinds of different applications that you can have. And so for us, Selfless 6 offers a different performance because David is talking about he gets a different experience with it. And a lot of that has to do with just the optimized blood flow. And it's not localized. You're not getting it in your bicep or in your shoulders after you do a shoulder or bicep day. You're feeling that cognitive response. You're feeling that endurance. You're feeling that respiratory endurance energy. And you're also just getting a full up and down body workout relative to the blood flow that you're experiencing. So your sets are longer. Your reps are greater. Your rest is less. And your recovery is faster. And so all those things go into a very dynamic product. And then you roll in all the immunity health, the cardiovascular benefits, which is why Rob takes a look at this and he's like, I like that he overthinks it and underthinks it, meaning he knows how many different applications this is appropriate for. And he doesn't get stuck on the fact, well, I've already got it in 4 products. Should I really put it in 5? He doesn't overthink it in that way. He knows it's appropriate. It's an ingredient that works. It belongs in various and wide-ranging formulas, and he puts them in. Whereas most people might think, well, I've already got it in here. I shouldn't put it in there. It's redundant. When you find an ingredient that works, you stick with it.
I agree with that. I'm sorry. I agree with that because I think that there are many companies that they have an ingredient, say, that they utilize in one of their not pre-workouts, one of their products, and they think, okay, you know what? Now I have this. I'm moving on to the other one. But the truth is that some of the ingredients, and Selfless is a great example, can be utilized in so many ways. I remember getting in touch with Madam saying, like, you know what? I'm actually going to use Selfless 6 in nootropic. You know, he was surprised, but he was not surprised because it was there you go. Because
I took two before the interview. I was like, David's going to be on. I got to be ready.
yeah, it made sense. It made absolute sense. And just to touch up on the subject that is very, very important to me, and I think it should be important to anyone who owns a brand. I keep saying it again and again. Just like, you know, I own a brand and Matt owns an ingredient, and when it comes to somebody reviewing our ingredient or reviewing our brand, I think it's very, very important that, yes, especially if it's a good ingredient or a good brand, you putting your heart and soul into it and you really care about it and you're really trying to do, you know, I mean, obviously it's a business, so you're trying to make money without a doubt, but at the same time, when you're doing something good that people can benefit, athletes, people in general, for health reasons or for whatever reason, it's very important that the message, because obviously, you know, Matt can say that his ingredient is the best, and I can say my brand is the best, and that might be true, but it's still going to be viewed as a little biased since, you know, we own it. But having somebody review products, ingredients, and know what the hell they're talking about, I think that this is what the industry's been lacking for the past couple of years, and maybe for longer than that. And I think, and this is, again, you know me, I won't say it if it's not true, but I keep saying it again and again. People should fucking subscribe to David. They should watch his reviews, because to me, and again, no hard feelings, not trying to offend anyone, not even going to criticize anyone, but David is in his own league. There's nobody comes close. Not one review channel comes close to him, because with him, and Matt pointed out perfectly well, even though it's science, it's very hard to keep the viewer engaged and to be able to explain in layman's terms, you know, the benefits of a certain product or ingredient. And I have no idea how David does it, but he does it with flying colors. I mean, he just fucking delivers an amazing message. Every time he reviews my product, to be honest with you, I'm not nervous. I keep saying it again and again. I'm not nervous for the reason is that I know what I'm putting out there. I know very well. But the fact that he can break down my product better than I can do it, he's way better than me, without a doubt. And the way he delivers the message to the public, to the audience, to the consumer is great, because he fucking recently did a review, I think, on our, if I'm mistaken, I think it was egg protein. I'm like, what the fuck? This guy did a way better job than I could ever do.
Yeah.
This is fucking ridiculous. It's just the protein. Like, how the fuck did he manage to break down each and every ingredient in such fashion to explain? He was like, I don't know if Apollon did it intentionally or not, but this is such a great ingredient. I'm like, no, sorry, it wasn't intentional, but thank you. Yeah. But in all seriousness, David, I applaud you what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing, and you've definitely been a missing link in this industry. And kudos to you for everything you've done for the industry. There are some people who don't even know the benefit that you're providing for the consumer. Thanks, so man. Yeah, congratulations on everything you achieved.
Appreciate all you guys. Thank you very much.
David, are you happy? Were you happy with the way the channel has gone? Did you expect it to be where it is, or is this just kind of a hobby and it's just kind of taking the path it has?
I'm happy because like I wanted people to know, really the intention was wanting people to know what they're putting in their bodies, you know, what these things actually do. And then as far as breaking it down in layman's terms, it's a lot of work.
No, it's hard.
Because I'm actually always trying to rephrase things to where it can be understandable without getting too technical about things. So it's actually a lot of work. It's not like just getting behind a camera and reviewing the effects of the product. I literally have pages and pages of stuff written out, and I'm always adding to ingredients. Like I just dove into ashwagandha and the possible bad effects that people are running into, and L-theanine, what it actually does, and why. I'm never there to bash a product. I just want people to know, you know, why they may react to this a certain way, what effects this thing might have on them. It's just been a passion for me. I started the YouTube channel with workouts because I was a type 1 diabetic and I was able to build muscle training and stuff. And I just knew a lot about ingredients because of my past taking care of somebody. I started learning about grapeseed extract a long time ago, pine bark extract, choline sources, and what they do in the body. And it just evolved, And I'm happy. To answer your question shortly, I'm happy the way it's going. I want to give more, though. So it's actually more stress now that I'm doing reviews every other day, because I'm always trying to throw something more into the product. So I spend a lot of my free time diving down the rabbit hole, so to speak, on what this does and what that does.
Did you look at other review channels and look at how they were doing it and then craft your own way? Or did you just kind of fall into it? You say, look, nobody's really getting into the science, or did you just kind of fall into that path?
You know what happened? If you go back to my original videos, I first started out with really breaking it down. I noticed when I watched them, I was like, oh man, I want to skip through this, So then I started to kind of like emulate, TJ and Ari, as they were growing. And then I realized I'd come home from doing the review in the car, and I'd tell the wife, I just don't feel right trying to be entertaining and trying to be, more than during the review. And she's all, just be you. So then that's when it started to evolve. At that point, you kind of can see it in my reviews, how it kind of like backed off and evolved more into the ingredients and me dialing down, being excited. The excitement would be in the product and using it, but more natural, more me. And it's just continuing to evolve. I'm always trying to think of better ways to deliver stuff and information to people.
I've got Sean,
Nick,
I've got a statement and a question, and I'm sorry, I don't know what the hell's going on. We had a storm recently, and I think my signal's a little bit flighty today. So forgive me if I disappear and reappear. Keep the conversation moving. But back before, when I was going to chime in about David, even if he likes me, even if he likes Rob, and he's reviewing our products, and there may be a little tiny bit of bias in there, the guy's reputation speaks for itself. He's not going to compromise his own integrity to make us feel special. So at the end of the day, he knows his name matters, and that his opinions and his words matter. So he's not going to compromise his own morals and ethics just to make us feel special. So I really do appreciate that when he says it, he means it, and that comes across. Now, the other piece of that is, I'm just curious. So David, are you anywhere close to burning out? You work out because you love it. You obviously are an enthusiast. You love it. You're built for it. And your body and your health and your regimen means everything to you. Are you at all in jeopardy of just getting burnt out because you're doing it at both ends? Does it feel more like work than pleasure to you since you're reviewing everything so often?
Actually, I'll be honest with you. When I find an ingredient like I mentioned, L-theanine, ashwagandha, stuff like that, and I start to dive into the ingredient and down the rabbit hole. Someone asked me, how do I get the information? And basically, I figure out what somebody's trying to explain the ingredient does, and then there's all kinds of different factors. You got different coenzymes, you got this and that, and I end up jumping into that, and then putting two and two together and trying to create the information on exactly how deep this thing dives and how it reacts in the body. And I have pleasure doing that. I love doing that. So that's one aspect that's keeping me not being burnt out, is the idea of learning more and more and more, and trying to implement it in the reviews to give that little bit of information without sounding too scientific, so to speak. But mechanisms
You've got
of
a
action.
healthy balance.
What's that?
You've got a healthy balance of you get to satisfy.
I do. I think getting behind the camera and the reviews stress me out more than getting the information, because I feel like as I'm doing the reviews, I feel like there's more and more at stake on the plate that people might expect from me. So
Sure.
There's a little bit of pressure there. But other than that, I'm enjoying it. I really am.
Good.
Yeah.
At what point do you realize you've gone down the rabbit hole too much, David? You say, look, I'm only going to spend 10 minutes. So, because I know you, I can see you going like down and down and down.
Yeah, I'll be sitting at the computer for 2 hours. Yeah. There's no point. What I do is I actually stop. I have a lot of stuff written out. I'll stop, and when I hit another pre-workout that has this particular ingredient or something, then I take another half an hour, and I dive deeper as I can to get the information. It's really hard to get all the information out there in one setting. it's bits and pieces all over the freaking place.
People's
So
attention spans are this long, dude.
right,
And you got to
exactly.
capture it fast.
Yeah. So it's fun though. I mean, I do enjoy it. It is something that I have a passion for, as far as even just learning about it. Like when I started learning about the mechanisms, I have I have a list of all the signaling mechanism for Selfless, and I've been diving into what these signaling messages actually do. So I've actually put it all out to where, what they do in the body. And then when I get time, I'm going to go even deeper in how, the next step, like what else does this thing do other than just activating that? When you activate this, what activates after that? So
What
it's
signal
interesting
does it
too.
turn off? What does it turn on? The whole thing.
Right. So that's fun. It's fun. I enjoy it. And I enjoy ingredients. I enjoy ingredients like Selfless because they're not just L-citrulline.
Yeah.
There's just so much more to it. And
there is, we pride ourselves on the fact, it's as Rob was talking about earlier, you've got things and you get put into a box, and I've maintained many times I don't have competition in this industry. I know people think that's crazy, but I don't. I'm not citrulline, not trying to be citrulline. I'm not nitrosamine, not trying to be nitrosamine. I like working with them. I like working synergistically with them. I like driving those ingredients. What we do our own way, very uniquely. There's a reason Selfless is formulated in standalone form. It's because it doesn't need the help of others to do the heavy lifting. It can do it on its own. It does it very well. It does it all around the world. And that's not a brag. It's just simply the power of the ingredient and the range that it has, which is why I don't look at any of the other, quote, pump products as competitive. I look at it as a 1-2 punch. And I think one of my favorite formulas that Rob ever did was, bloody hell, he showed what you can do with simplicity and restraint. So many people, Rob, and you're going to have to jump in here. So many people love to throw the kitchen sink at, especially some of the bigger companies that have the huge budgets. They'll throw any branded ingredient in there that they want, and they'll market it in such a way that it's almost it's a kitchen sink product, and I don't really respect those very much. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with them, but personally for me, I think less is more. I think it takes an artist to create a sculptor, chisel away with a stone, and find the statue therein. And when Rob released and appropriately dosed Drive, nitrosamine, and Selfless and bloody hell, the market took notice. And I can't think of a better way for him to roll out first in the United States a pump product that didn't have any citrulline in it, and it was just a 3-ingredient banger. So many people think if you don't have L-citrulline, you don't have a pump product. And Rob showed him that's false.
Well, number one, thank you, Matt, mostly for allowing a small company like Apollon to be the first one to present basically your ingredient to the world, well, at least the United States. And that was a huge, huge honor to me. You kept your word, and I was beyond honored and surprised and shocked, because you could have gone after a bigger company, which is typically the way it's done in business, but you basically put your trust in us, and for that I'm very, very grateful.
I went after reputation.
Thank you. But no, you're right. I mean, you know what? When it comes to kitchen sink, I'll admit that we've done it too. I mean, we still do it with products probably like Time Cop and Double Impact and Hooligan to an extent. We do it, but here's the difference, and this is, I think, where I 100% agree with you. When we were doing that, and I always said it's not the quantity, it's always the quality. Because the thing is that when I look at a product like we make, I mean, we're not the only ones. There are a couple of great companies that are putting out very, very good products. But when I see it's always, and David, when he breaks it down, it's always fully dosed. It's always clinically dosed. It's always properly dosed. So, and, when people were criticizing, I guess, at first Hooligan, and everybody was like 600 milligrams of caffeine, 600 milligrams of caffeine, the red flag was everywhere. And I remember, and I said this before, the first version of Hooligan was 450 milligrams of caffeine. And at that time, in 2015, that was like insane amount. And I remember Mark from NutraBio, he was my first manufacturer. And he manufactured for us the first Hooligan. And he goes like, you're out of your mind, don't do it. It's too much. I was like, you know what? From everything I see, it's not too much. It depends on the person. It depends on, everybody's needs and stuff like that. I don't think it's too much. And Hooligan had its cult following, so to speak.
Yes,
And then
it is.
the next version, I remember we did 600 milligram. When we did 600 milligram, everybody went absolutely insane. There was, obviously, we had our fans. Unfortunately, David was not doing reviews, so there was nobody to actually defend me. We were defending ourselves. But you know me by now, I'm very, very stubborn, and I don't do things just because, we posted recently, we're doing Assassin 900 milligram, and people actually bought it. They thought it's real. And, it's not that I was actually considering releasing it now, but but the thing is that it wasn't about, oh, I want to release the most caffeine on the market or stuff like that. I actually talked to Shane from Stacked, and Metabolic, I think, released 750 milligram of caffeine, but it's 3 scoops. I mean, we were per 1 scoop. So when people were criticizing 1 scoop 600 milligram, I was like, motherfuckers. And then people were saying to me, back off. I'm like, fuck no, I'm not going to back off. So I released the 3rd version of Hooligan with 720 milligram of caffeine. Is basically saying, go fuck yourself. I'm going to do it my way. But we actually leveled out at 600, and that's pretty much standard now for Hooligan. But thanks to guys like Robert Chinatsky, thanks to guys like David, who were like able to showcase that Hooligan is not only about caffeine. There's other ingredients in the formula that are extremely beneficial for whether it's pump or focus or endurance. They were able to show the benefits of it. And I think that's the most important thing. And then I saw copycats, which are rampant in this industry, trying to do the kitchen sink, like you said. And I'm like, whoa, it's a list of ingredients that is longer than a book. But then you look, the first ingredient is going to be, for example, citrulline at 6 or 7 or 8 grams. And you're like, okay, that's a good dose. I mean, this is solid. This is going somewhere. And I'm looking as you go down, everything is, or most of it is under fucking dosed, like tremendously underdosed, and that's marketing. That's obviously misleading. And then you look, well, the formula is actually not that expensive. So you can create a formula that has 10 ingredients, even 15 ingredients, as long as they are quality ingredients, properly dosed, and there is a synergy between the ingredients where they're providing a benefit that the customer is looking for, that an athlete is looking for. But then again, like you said, with bloody hell, all we wanted to do is a pump ingredient using pills. That's all we wanted to do. And when it came to it, it was like, why the fuck would I use citrulline that if I'm going to use 6 or 7 or 8 grams, it's going to be a shitload of pills, and it's completely unnecessary. You can get away with nitrosamine at 1500 milligram, Selfless 6 at 600, and then Vasodrive at 508. Now you have all clinically dosed, proven to work ingredients that will provide benefit. And everybody who tried it, they saw it. It does work. It does work. And if you want to throw a little bit of caffeine into it because you want a little bit of stamps, boom, you have that too. So it's very, very stackable with other things. But it comes down to simple approach of, we should know, obviously brands and brand owners or formulators, we know what works. So when you see a product that is underdosed and, so to speak, doesn't really meet the criteria, that is not because they don't know. They know exactly what they're doing. They're trying to save money. And they're trying to, and using marketing schemes and influencers and athletes and ads and stuff like that to overhype the product that is not exactly very beneficial. And then you have an ingredient, and then you have a product with 3 ingredients that actually works. And you know what? At the end of the day, all you have to do is show the literature to back up that your formula is solid. Have somebody like David review the product and explain the way only he can explain the benefits of it. And boom, then you have it. Because I'm a firm believer that if I'm good at marketing, I can sell you any shit, anything. I can sell you anything, but I believe I can sell it to you only once. Because you're going to buy it, you'll see that it's garbage, and you're not going to buy it again. However, if I sell you a good product, then not only will you be a repeat buyer, but you will also tell your friends, family, and everybody. You will recommend the product. Word of mouth works the best. And Pollen Nutrition was never big on marketing, fancy marketing. You know, we would never advertise. We didn't have the budget. We still don't. We rely basically on guys like David who are free. You know, he provides free information to the public, and we always relied on what we are doing and the word of mouth. And people perceive Pollen today as this giant company. I heard the rumors that people think that we are this giant company, which we are not. You know, obviously, Sean's been to Pollen. We run our business from a gym. You've been to the gym as well, Matt, so you've seen it. I have to bring David also. But, we're basically doing exactly the same as we've done from the beginning. And it's a proven formula that works. Give the customers what they want. Give the customers good product. Back it up by science. Back it up by real honest reviews, which unfortunately are very, very, very rare these days. And guess what? That's a recipe for success. It's actually very, very simple. You don't have to go and reinvent the wheels, because we've seen companies come and go. They're using fancy marketing approaches. They lie. I mean, they basically lie to the public. We've seen those ingredients that are severely underdosed. You know, you can have Selfless 6 today on a supplement facts panel, but what if you use 25 milligram? It's just simply not enough. So now you go like, oh, okay, I have this great ingredient. Well, it's not enough. You're not going to get the full benefits. And Matt, you will attest to this. You and I talked, and I've seen people using 300 milligrams, 600 milligram. And when you and I discussed this, I was like, Matt, give it to me straight, 300 or 600. And you said to me, well, 600 is better. You know, that's the actual, proper dose. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to lower than 600 on any of the supplements that we're going to do. 600, 900 is going to be a golden standard. Is it more expensive? Of course it's more expensive. But if you want to put out a good, honest product, you don't look at the price. You don't look at the cost. You look at the best possible product for a consumer that trusts you. You know, today, and I'm very, very grateful for that, Pollen Nutrition is known as, I wouldn't say probably like a big word like golden standard, but at least they know our reputation. If Pollen Nutrition releases a product, it will be a product that will work. And and our audience, a guy like David, if I'm going to underdose something a little bit, he's going to be the first one to catch me. And that's it. That I'm done. I'm done. My reputation will suffer as a result. So I'll get to save a buck or two, but I'm actually fucking my company. Brand that we worked for 8 years to build to the standard where it is today. Why would I do it? And I think it all boils down to one thing: honesty, transparency, and you will find your consumer.
Exactly. Matt, we have a question and a comment here, and Robert, I don't know if this is Jose from the gym or not, but he said his comment was a notable improvement in respiration from Selfless 6. I have found rest between sets, etc. And then his question was the multitude of benefits behind the name change for Cardia, or was there something else? Oh, I think Matt froze again.
He's posing.
David, you're the substitute. You answer.
Okay, what was the question again? I'm sorry. He's got a nice pose going on there.
So one gentleman was saying he said he feels notable improvement in respiration from Selfless 6, kind of rest between sets, etc. I guess his recoup time is lessened, is what I'm understanding.
Okay. It's just going to it's going to push lactic acid through the body still. There's so much vasodilation. It hits different than the way it reacts to cyclic GMP, which is the mechanism for smooth muscle relaxation and contraction. So when it interacts with that, there he is. It's actually going to hit the vasodilation differently as far as dilating the blood vessels in a different manner than some of these other ingredients that just actually attack nitric oxide release. Okay. So you're going to get a lot of different mechanisms going on in the body: oxygen flow, breathing enhancement, all kinds of different things.
Matt, somebody had asked before you froze, was the multitude of benefits behind the name change for Cardia, or was there something else behind it that maybe you could share?
Oh, happy to share. My trademark attorney screwed us. He he was supposed to be filing, and he did. And then it got challenged to one degree or another. And so literally real time, we had to pivot. And the guy was like, oh, we'll take care of it Monday. I said, I'm about to go on a podcast and like announce to the world what the name of my brand is. And you're telling me we'll talk about it Monday? And so it was just a very funny thing. Everything was squared away intellectually with it. And then he got a notification that there's a challenge, could be an issue. And he failed to report that to me. And so we pivoted real time. Like we were literally about to go and announce, we had the logos done, labels were being completed. And so it took us a crazy assertive, nonstop 5 days of trying to figure out what would be a comparable or better name. And so Mike, my partner, came up with Selfless, which we didn't even love at first. I'm like, see it on a shirt? Is it cool? Like, we had so many things like, how do we feel about this brand? This is going to be it. Do we love it? And then ultimately, I love it more than Vaso 6. And the reason being is it's not limiting. I think it's a very slick, cool brand. It's all encompassing about what we do mechanically. And I think it's very reflective about what we are, who we deal with, and what we promise to the market. And so we did have to do a real-time pivot, but that's just business, man. Like you get hit with unexpected things. Rob, am I wrong? Like everything is going right, and then something happens, and you've got to pivot and figure it out.
I actually also have a question that Sean asked me. He goes, if you have a question for David or Matt, would be very, very good. So I kind of like, people knew that this podcast was coming up, and I'm going to keep his name discreet. So one of my friends who is a supplement store owner, he had a question. And I thought it was a very, very good question. I had the answer for it, but I figured out you guys are going to be able to answer way better, and I think it should come from you. So, as you know, after we released Bloody Hell, there were a few copycats with pump ingredients, and pump formulas in capsule form and stuff like that. And somebody said, why would I have Selfless in a pump formula where it's way too expensive on an ingredient? I can just use green tea. It's the same thing. I thought it would be a very, very cool question. I was like, you know what? Let me bring it up on a podcast and just enjoy the ride.
We can see the steam coming out of Matt's ears right now.
Well,
I
think again, I know the answer, but I thought, you know what? I'm pretty sure that Matt heard this from some fans / haters before. So I think that once and for all, maybe, it should come from the horse's mouth, and you should settle the score once and for all.
Sure. Well, the funny thing is, I would love for them to say the same thing relative to what? Relative to what benefit are you specifically citing? Relative to what percentage of molecular compounds are we citing here? Because we can go through the whole gamut, e.g., CG, ECG. What are we specifically talking about? Monomers, dimers, trimers, tetramers? What are we talking about? Because I can talk about these things. I can talk about an epicatechin gallic dimer 1, and these guys are going to say, well, what's that? And that's my point. I'm like, the reason you don't know is because we're not all the same. There's, a Volkswagen Bug and a Bugatti are both cars, aren't they? But they don't perform the same, do they? They don't cost the same, do they? And so you can say that my product is more expensive. I would argue that it's more expensive to put equivalent of filler into your product. That would be the waste of money, not paying for a premium. And by the way, why do I have intellectual property wrapped around my tech when generic green tea doesn't? And that's why, as far as the objective, who's the best, what's the best? Well, I can argue why mine's the best. And I mean one of one best in the world. I can argue that around my intellectual property. There's a reason I have patents and patent pending. And there's a reason that these things never will, because there's nothing unique or special functionally about them. There's nothing special about them. And a lot of people say, well, this guy's got a PhD and he disagrees with you. A PhD in what? Is it in green tea extracts? Because I've been studying it for over 10 years. That's long enough for me to earn a PhD, but I don't have a PhD. What I have is very unique, rare intellectual property that has isolated, after we identified the specific mechanisms of action, which molecules render which benefit consistently. And we've concentrated our formula around that. And so for me, when I hear people talk about generic green tea being comparable to Selfless 6 and that they want to get into the price game, it's a pretty simple thing is I'm looking for the right way to say it. It's just a matter of, it's an intellectually lazy argument that lacks specificity and citation. And until you tell me what it is, what outcome you're looking for, and at what dosage you think it's appropriate at, and what about your formula makes it more special or comparable to mine, I think that's where the conversation needs to start. But for me, I would never waste money on 150 milligrams of generic green tea because I can tell you clinically and emphatically it doesn't do anything. Those monomers are bulky. They're big, they're heavy, they don't get through the tract, they don't get absorbed, and they are not bioavailable. So you're going to tell me you're going to push through a bunch of monomers into your system and think that you're getting anything from it? But again, I appreciate the question. It lacks specificity. If we're going to have a debate about a scientific ingredient, then let's have that, but have specific citations in mind and ready.
Okay.
Matt, since it's just the Self-Flow 6 show for the most part, and believe me, I love it. I know the guests are loving it and whatnot. Do you have any type of agreement with your manufacturers that say in order to use it, it has to be used at least X dosage? That's
coming. and
Okay.
It's funny you say that because you can't have it both ways. You can't tell me, well, we want data and people want to see this. And that's fine. Nobody appreciates data more than me. But when I give you a study that cites specific data that renders a specific structure function benefit, and you go in and undercut it by 75% because why not? We have a problem. When people take my product and it's underdosed by more than half, and you're telling me my product doesn't work, we have a problem. You know, there's a reason that we spend the money we do to achieve the outcomes that we do, to have not only the actual benefit and usage of it at a specific dosage, but the toxicity as well. So we spend money to find the answers to these questions that we're internally asking. And when people just gloss over that, don't care, and take liberties and microdose it and fairy dust it into the formula anyway, that bothers me, and that's not going to happen anymore. I recently had a publication ask me about, send me some data on Selfless 6 at 150 milligrams. And I said, it doesn't exist. And I'm not going to manufacture something out of the ether to justify this story. Like, I don't use it at 150 milligrams. I don't recommend it at 150 milligrams. So why would I have documentation that articulates 150 milligrams as something unique and special? And by the way, I wish it was at 150 milligrams. I want to give you a smaller dose, not a bigger one, for the simple reason, like guys like Rob like to use capsules and people enjoy taking capsules. And I would love to give him a smaller dosage that he could run with and work with, not bigger. So the name of the game for us is less, not more. And that's part of what my partner and I have been doing.
I froze again.
So, Robert, will ask you, people always ask, you know, what's next for you guys? Any new products? What's the most recent launches coming out? Anything you can share?
There we go. So that's part of what my partner and I have been doing is in our studies, we identify, we isolate, we concentrate, we quantify, we qualify which molecules actually do something. And then we study as best we can the dark side of that molecule, which is not just mirror molecules, but what do you see? What can't you see? What have we identified, but what are we discovering? And that's where we're in the phase of right now is discovery. I'm not talking invention. I'm talking discovery, never before seen. And that's what we're really focusing our attentions on. And when we start concentrating those discoveries that are not just monomers, you know, I had a PhD say, I want a green tea extract of 98% EGCG. And I was like, why? Why would you want that? Why in the world would you think that does anything for you? And he couldn't answer it. But again, he's got a PhD. So,
but he has a PhD. That's what I was thinking.
Because that's the myth. People think that it's just a big percentage and a high number. Big equals good. And I'm like, there's nothing happening in there. It's just monomers that don't do anything. They do not get through your digestive system. They are not bioavailable. They're not being absorbed. They do nothing.
Matt, I have one more question. Sean, I'll answer your question after I ask
Yeah,
Matt
go
this.
for it.
So this question comes from Lucas. He just sent me a message asking, what are your thoughts of combining 600 milligram of Selfless 6 with 1 gram of NMN?
Of NMN?
Mm-hmm.
What exactly is he looking to create?
No idea. That's the question. Maybe you'll clarify.
Gosh, I have to be honest with you. I'm not familiar enough with NMN and what he would be looking to accomplish. But for me, it goes back into the direction of there would be nothing adverse about it. You know what I mean? As far as the inclusion of my product into another ingredient, I have a hard time understanding what would be adverse about it. But again, I can't speak to something I have no expertise on. And I've actually reminded people of this. I'm not an all-encompassing ingredient expert. By no means. I've never fancied myself that. I just know one very, very well. And so if he can elaborate, I'm happy to elaborate. But at the moment,
let's do it from another perspective. So you've seen Selfless 6 obviously paired with different ingredients, like I've done, like some other people have done. But maybe this would be your personal opinion or your personal suggestions or recommendation. Which ingredient or ingredients would you like to see Selfless 6 combined with for whatever benefit, whether it's athletes or sports or health benefits? What do you think you would like to see in the future? Maybe I'll steal an idea from you before somebody beats me to it.
Sure. Well, so first of all, my favorite combination of Selfless 6 is with Pico 2, because I think that gives you a very good performance product. I love the endurance that you get. To me, like Pico 2 with Vaso 6 just feels like a very dynamic 1-2 punch. Otten Fit Nutrition, Corey Otten, he did a Vaso 6 Pico 2, and it was the formula I found myself just taking every single day. So I really loved it. It was a good high dosage, and it just complemented the way that I personally like to train a great deal. Like it just felt right, because I like to do higher reps, higher sets, but I don't go tremendously heavy in weight. And I like to go about 6 times a week as best I can. And so for me, the endurance was there, the energy was there, the stamina was there, the recovery was there. And I just felt really optimized on that 1-2 punch of a formula. And the other one that I would say would be, let's talk about vaso restriction, something hard and heavy like caffeine. My partner Mike and I, we did a study that was on one of the higher stem energy drinks in the market, which was Bang. It had 350 milligrams of caffeine. And in this study, we looked at what the vitals were with a 16-ounce can of Bang. And I think we studied it on, I want to say 6 people, just because it was a preclinical, nothing we're publishing, but we wanted to prove our theory. And so my partner Mike had this theory of, I bet we make caffeine a little bit safer in energy drinks. I bet we make energy drinks safer, because you read all those stories about people stroking out. And so we wanted to go after the most stimulant, caffeine, energy drink. And what we showed in the first day of the testing was, as you would expect, the heart rate spikes, blood pressure goes up, the vitals are through the roof. And then the next day, same participant, 16-ounce can, Bang energy drink, only with 300 milligrams of Selfless 6. And now we've brought the heart rate back into normal range, so it's not over exceeding what it's meant to do by way of output. Blood pressure has dropped into a normal, healthy range, and blood flow went up by 22%. And so in essence, what we proved is you can take a high stem product like a Bang energy drink, enjoy all the benefits of a caffeine stimulant without having any of the negative side effects of a caffeine stimulant. So the performance benefits were still there, only now it's safer and keeps you in normal range without your cardiac output spiking and going through the roof. And that's something that we're very passionate about. So as far as the high stem products, again, why Rob and I are peas and carrots. He is known for very good, hard-hitting products. And we offer a sense of stability and performance in those products, which is why they just come across very, very nicely in the formulas and in the body when they're used practically.
Okay.
Hey, Robert, to answer that NMN question, tell him to to stack it. It stacks well with apigenin and quercetin. And then if he's taking a gram a day, if he's listening, to make sure he's taking the betaine anhydrous, whether it's in the pre-workouts or just taking that a day, because the nicotinamide that's removed out of the NMN actually uses methyl groups. So the betaine anhydrous will replace those methyl groups in the body. So anyways. Yeah.
Love it.
And tell Lucas I apologize. David, thank you. You're teaching me things as I expected you to do on here, but
It's just an
got me.
ingredient I did a review on, so I dove into it, so I have the information in my head. You don't carry all this information.
It's Matt, like
Yeah,
you gave me the nickname Controlled Chaos. I finally came up with a nickname for David. Cool Geek.
That'll be after my name from now on.
Yeah, I mean he is a fucking geek, but he's very cool.
Indeed, man. Perfect industry
Appreciate
for him,
it.
dude.
Thank you, I think.
Yeah.
There's like a bit of an insult there, but at the same time a compliment. But I
High five and a back slap at the same time.
Right.
This industry celebrates
what he
cool and
does
nerd
is
at the
very,
same
very
time.
difficult, because to listen to anyone explain science, it's fucking a recipe for sleep. I mean, that's like a sleep. But he does it in a cool way, so he's a cool geek.
Appreciate it, man.
David, somebody had sent in a question. When you're not in the gym or dropping reviews, what do you do in your spare time? What do you do to unwind?
He's dancing.
Yeah, that's what it is. Always trying to stay happy. I love to move. Honestly, right now between work and the reviews, I'm pretty much all doing work, trying to concentrate on my food intake, trying to keep everything in check. But yeah, nothing special. Hang out with the wife, enjoy life a little bit, and
He's gonna audition for the next season of America Got Talent.
Hey, I'm still waiting for TJ to bust a move, because he's always leaving a comment that he can do that better than me.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
So you need to talk to him.
Hey, Matt, this is a real question here. Better person, Pete Pazimus or James from Pell?
Oh my, what?
Damn.
That's like the flip side of Mother Teresa and Gandhi. You know what I mean? Like, you just, golly. Pete, I'll tell you this, man. Pete is one of my OGs, dude. I love Pete. I've always loved Pete. He was one of the very first people to just get on board with Base 06. As most people, I met him in a comments section. We hit it off. We've been talking ever since. He's a big supporter of Rob, and Pete's just and I mean this endearingly. Pete's the same guy from the day I met him to now, and I always enjoy my daily banter with Pete. James, on the other hand, I've really enjoyed his character arc, dude, because that guy has really come into his own. I mean, his body is dialed in, his mind is dialed in. He does things the right way. He tests all of his products the right way. Third-party testing, spends the money, takes his time. He's very deliberate with his formulas and his products, and he hustles his ass off, dude. If there's a local expo, he's there. He spends the money on the banners, on the booths, on the trailers. And I just know that the industry's better because James is in it, because he does things the right way and he cares. He's here for the right reasons. And you get a lot of those guys that are just here to, put a brand out there, sell it out of the garage, impress their buddies, get some weekend drinking money. And you know who those brands are. But James is a guy that has just dug. You can just tell he'll never quit.
Okay, fair enough. You didn't compromise. Good answer.
Who's the best guy? I don't know, dude. I'm undeserving of both.
We've lost respect for Pete when he shaved his beard. He no longer can compete with you. I don't know if you've seen him lately.
I never want to look at Pete. He's just too handsome. It's very humbling.
You're holding it. Robert, say your 2 cents. You're holding it back. I see it.
I think Matt is fucking sexy.
See, this is a podcast I wanted to get on. It took us an hour, but we're there. We're finally there after all my internet disruptions. Now we're getting to the meat of the conversation.
There is this photo of Matt standing next to Carolina at the seminar. I'm like, Carolina who? Matt is just fucking star.
I was saying the same.
I'm probably going to get my ass kicked later.
Dude, that was such an awesome event, man. I have no idea. Like, we live in an industry that's all about upping the ante, right? And Rob is one of the guys that really champions that up the ante. He's his own worst critic. He's his own standard, and people can talk whatever shit they want about how they do things, but Rob stays true to himself, and he's put on this all-star event, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I love the fact that he's actually put himself in such a good, bad problem to have that he's almost outsized the venue that he's hosting it in. Like, you're going to have to go to a bigger venue. You might even have to start charging advertising and ticket prices, dude, because your event has actually really taken off huge.
Yeah, I was talking to Lee Priest yesterday, and he's like really looking forward to it. And the fact that it got such reputation now, and people want to attend it, and they're talking about it. I mean, it's really, I didn't expect that it's going to happen like that in such short period of time. But I think that the reason for that is because it's such a laid back event. I mean, we prepare for the event, but at the same time, nothing is planned, and we just go with the flow. And it's just so free spirited and so nice. I think that just like people are having fun, and then they flying, driving from all over. I mean, even from overseas. Yep. And then they getting together. There are like little after parties, and people are having dinners and get-togethers. I mean, it's pretty cool. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Again, it's definitely growing to be something, and you always have to step up a little bit. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge, but it was definitely a very cool event, and where people are getting together and just having fun.
Well, it's even back to some of those bigger brands that you talked about that have the budgets for marketing. One of the things that you've done very well is just lean into your strength. You bring people to you, and you've done it from a very grassroots thing. Like, come to my gym, see how we live. We live the life that we preach in our bottles inside our gyms, and people come to celebrate that, man. Like, sometimes you don't need a marketing gimmick. You just need a little authenticity, dude. And that goes a long way with guys like me, guys like David, I'm sure, and certainly guys like Sean.
And Robert, people know that you and I are best of friends here, but I don't know if people go to the seminar because of the seminar, or if they just go to support you and Carolina just because you guys are just great people. And I'm being honest.
You know what, that's a good question, but I have no answer. I really don't have an answer, because I think that, yes, people do like us. I mean, some people do, not obviously, not everyone, but they come to support without a doubt. They come to me, they come to hang out. But obviously, each and everyone who comes to the event, I mean, you have professional bodybuilders, you have professional fighters, you have people from within the industry that people respect. I mean, Matt.
A lot of brands there.
Yeah, Matt came and completely surprised us. We had no idea that he's going to be there. And that immediately was like, I remember, I think it was Jake. I think Jake, from ASC. He ran up to me. He goes to me, Selfless 6 guy is here. I was like, who? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? He didn't even say Matt. Selfless 6 guy. I'm like, the fuck? And then he points to Matt. I'm like, fuck me. I mean, that's like, we could have said that Matt is coming and stuff like that. But for somebody to fly and surprise us with its visit, I mean, honestly, it wasn't a business meeting. It was nothing. It was just a friend coming and supporting. And that was a testament of how far we've come. If people are willing to fly and just, to be there for an hour or two and just hang out with us. And that was definitely, I'm not saying it to kiss ass or anything like that. Matt and I have very, very good relationship. But the fact is, to me, that was probably one of the highlights of the event. And it's a big compliment, because, you have Ronnie Coleman at the event. But to have somebody come and surprise you, when I told Matt, we would love to have you. And he said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it and stuff like that. So nobody expected him there. But that's a testament of support and respect that you have to value the most, to have a brand to get to the level it is. And we never advertised it actually as a Pollen Nutrition. We've never done it. It was always a Pollen Gym all-star seminar, because athletes on the panel represent different brands. They don't just represent a Pollen Nutrition. So we want to make sure that, yes, of course, a Pollen Nutrition is everywhere and people know us as a Pollen Nutrition, but it's more than that. It's like literally like one big group of friends, like big family, that they come together. It's like almost like a reunion, and you get to see a lot of people and just hang out. There's, it's not like we're not even paying those guys to come. Obviously, Ronnie Coleman was compensated. That's a given. But to be honest with you, he charged us a fraction of what he probably will charge anyone for an appearance, but people come because they genuinely want to be part of this, and they want to support, and they want to just hang out, because all it is hanging out together and having fun.
And seriously, what I loved most, there were so many different brands there, man. Like,
Yeah.
It's not a competition. It's not Rob versus this guy, that guy, or that guy. Like, there were so many brands there that just support what he's doing, how he's doing it. It was even good for them to be there. They got to network. They got to meet who some of his contract manufacturers are. Like Paul, I think the world of Paul. That's where I met him. And so this event, people understand, it's not just about going to the event and showing up there. Like, you really had a chance to network, grow your brand, collaborate with people, see who's working with who, and just combine resources. And to me, that was just such a generous give back to the entire community that is our industry. And that's what I loved about it. There was no turf wars. There's no bad blood. Everyone was there in good spirits from all kinds of different places all around the world. It was very cool to see firsthand. And I did tell him, I said, look, I can't make it, man. I wish I could. As soon as I told him that, I booked my flight after that.
And just like Matt said, you had in the last 2 years just to emphasize that it was not an Apollo Nutrition only seminar. It wasn't an Apollo Nutrition. You had Jason Arms, who owns his own brand. You had Jeff Long 2 years ago, who has his own brand. Kevin Levroni has a brand. Rich Gaspari, obviously, has his own brand. So it's not a competition. Guy Cicerino represents Blackstone, but nobody cares. It's not about that. It's just about coming together, celebrating, having fun, hanging out, catching up, and it's just no pressure environment. And that's it, 2-3 hours of fun. And then after that, some people are obviously staying overnight, and they have like groups of people that they're going out for dinners in the area and stuff like that. And it's great. I think it's great. It's not for the industry, so to speak. It's just in general, a group of people that like each other, respect each other. And it's great for fans because, whether you're a fan of MMA or you're a fan of bodybuilding or you're a fan of the supplement industry, on a panel you have guests that are coming from different industries. So it's not like all bodybuilding, all fighters or anything like that. Nothing like that. And the way they interact is actually great. So yeah, I mean, it's fun. Definitely looking forward to October 7th. Definitely looking forward to welcoming Lee Priest. That's going to be very, very special.
What a fit. What a great fit.
He definitely fits great. I mean, the guy is fucking crazy. Yep. Absolutely insane.
He found a home at Apollon, dude. That's a great, great brand ambassador because he lives it. Always has.
I agree.
So, Robert, as we wind down, I know a question I asked you earlier that everyone wants to know what's any future launch. I shouldn't say any future, but any products you want to kind of let out of the bag, or any dates that we see another product coming out?
Well, next week we are releasing a special edition of Lionheart, which is collaboration with Stacked.
Really?
That one is obviously very, very special to me because it's a testament of what the brand achieved and how far we've come. Actually, Lionheart in the future will be reformulated, and I think considering the Pico 2 in it, I think that we're probably going to have to talk Selfless 6. So that is obviously coming. We have Assassin on the way. We have a couple of protein collaborations. We have also special editions pre-workouts. Multivitamin that people been waiting for. This is where David comes in because we're gonna need him to break down the fucking long list.
Yeah, buddy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that one is being released, if I'm not mistaken, in about 2 or 3 weeks. So there's definitely a lot in the works. We're trying to be as consistent as we were for the past 2-3 years, and just kind of not to lose the momentum and see how it goes. But the thing is that definitely the plan is not to slow down and continue bringing either the formulations or new products and stuff. And I think that we will be very busy in 2023. I can already say that we're going to have most likely vegan protein added to the mix. And we're working also on cream of rice right now, and a couple of other surprises that are going to be kind of a little bit different because we want to do functional food, the health line, and obviously stay true to ourselves, meaning, hardcore products, hardcore pre-workouts. I mean, we're not planning to reinvent the wheels in terms of like changing our identity, because I think that that's the biggest mistake that a lot of companies are doing, where something works and all of a sudden they're trying to do something different. I think that Apollon has to stay true to what Apollon is. You know, this hardcore, like I call it, hardcore premium brand. And if we stick to it, because like I said, I keep saying how great David is, but the guy fucking reviews our products, and the last thing I want is to give him a fucking excuse to destroy us. So you know,
I would never do that.
I know that, but you know, but the truth is that I want David to review Apollon products. To me, that's the number one reviewer. Like I said before, I'm going to say it again, and I think that he's the best ambassador, not for Apollon, but just for the industry itself, to deliver the message of what's good, bad, and ugly within the industry. And I think that that's a blessing for us, because I see some reviewers are banking on entertainment, which is great. You know, it's their choice. Some reviewers are banking on making money, which I also can't blame them, because you know everybody wants to make a living. Not my particular choice of how to make a living, but that's okay. And there are some people who you know, David, I gotta say something. You remind me of Apollon Nutrition. And the reason for that is that you didn't have this meteoric rise where you went like Ghost, or you know, those brands that or Review Brothers, or somebody who just like fucking went from 0 to 120 miles. You literally were slow and steady wins the race. You were kind of building step by step your reputation, and you're still steadily growing. And I think that's what Apollon is, because some people think, oh, Apollon's been in this existence for like 2 or 3 years. No, we've been in existence for 8 years. And it was a very slow and gradual build up to where we are today. And to be honest with you, I'm happy with it. I think that that's what it's all about, you know, to build it brick by brick and continue getting your audience and continue building up on your success. And I think that's the reason why I think that I can relate to where David is in terms of building his following and building his channel. And I think that he's only going to continue to grow simply because of his honesty and transparency.
I appreciate that. Being compared to Apollon actually is those are kind words. I know how dedicated you are to your craft and delivering quality. You know, that's basically the same thing here. Thank you very much.
And not to step on what you're about to ask, Sean, because I know you've got another good question lined up, but I did want to ask David one thing as people are signing off. David, I fancy you as someone I consider an industry purist, and I think that you can look at a lot of different things objectively. I think you could see yourself as a formulator, as an athlete, as a brand owner. You fit all those categories very, very organically. What trends, good, bad, or indifferent, are you seeing? Where would you like to see more emphasis placed? What to you signals that this industry is going in the right direction, wrong direction? Just some of your overall thoughts, because you see things from a very unique lens. I was just curious what you're looking at.
Good question.
Yeah, I think that the industry is going mainstream, is going in the right direction. You've got leaders like Apollon Nutrition that are actually formulating products efficaciously. I know everybody. I think in my point of view is too many people were focused on the experience rather than the benefits and the experience of a pre-workout. So there's two different ways to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have products that are fully dosed to studies, you have benefits and experience. And when you have products that are using exotic stems, stuff like that, stimulants to cause an effect just for an experience, and then they're lessening their health at the same time, is the wrong way to go. So I do like the idea of ingredients like Selfless 6 coming into the play, because every time I run I still have some Selfless 6 in my cupboard.
Excellent.
Every time I feel that that intensity of running these DMHA pre-workouts and stuff like that, I pop Selfless 6 and I'm good to go. You feel the health benefits from that as far as leveling you out and bring you back down from all that intensity.
Yeah, just stabilize it, right?
Right. So I feel the industry is going in the right way, and I'm hoping that you guys continue to, tread the path, as far as so other people can follow in. Because ever since Apollo's been on the scene and I've been doing reviews, the only reason why I started formulating my own products and not buying crap from the stores was way before I even knew about Apollon. Was I was seeing how things weren't efficaciously dosed, how damaging they could be to health and stuff like that. Then when I saw Apollon, there are some other companies as well, but I feel like Apollon actually has jumped out and set a standard for the industry. And ingredient formulators like yourself are setting a standard for the industry, that it is not just about experience. It is not just about being stemmed. It is not just about crushing the weight from central nervous system hit, but it's as far as going in the gym, performing to your best ability in a healthy manner before, after, following, stuff like that. So short and simple, the industry, I get on a tangent talking.
Not at all.
I think the industry is actually going in the right direction right now. As long as we have companies like Apollon, you have other companies out there that I can name as well, but Robic's here. But as long as these companies keep pushing and keep driving in the right direction for us, because he's not doing it just for him. He can say he can have his own way he's doing things, but he's doing it for all of us. Like, he started this because he saw that there was something wrong and he wanted to right it. And the passion is just there. As long as we can keep encouraging and keep driving and standing behind those companies that actually deliver what's best for us, then I think we're going to keep going in the right direction. Yeah.
Nicely said.
So my last question for Matt and Robic: when are you guys putting together a hair regrowth formula with Selfless 6 for some of the follically challenged?
I actually can't grow a beard until I started taking Rob's product. And this happened. I was clean shaven yesterday. His products work.
A little Selfless 6 and some water.
Yeah, just rub it in there.
Yeah, everything starts growing.
But guys, we wind down. Any other questions that maybe we haven't addressed? Because you guys have been awesome as always. I know it's Sunday afternoon and morning, and I love each and every one of you guys.
And honestly, I just want to apologize to your fans and everybody that tuned in. I can't explain the technical difficulties I had. Beyond, we had a storm yesterday, and I appreciate you guys for being pros, keeping it moving as I popped in and out intermittently. Thank you for just keeping the flow going, and I do sincerely apologize.
Nothing to
Matt,
apologize.
there's this new invention called wireless. It's no longer dial-up.
Never heard of it? Never heard of it, dude. Let me check my sundial. I'll book you in next week, and we'll talk, okay?
So, but it's always for people that are just stumbling across this. You keep hearing Apollon Nutrition. Go to apollonnutrition.com. Definitely give them a look. There's almost something there for everybody. And as always, if you guys, David, you want to start off with where people can learn about you, your channel, everything else?
At Mission to Muscle on YouTube, and DS Fredrickson on Instagram.
And a shout out to Mama Fredrickson as well. I was chatting with her the other day.
My mom has always got my back, doesn't she?
My man.
And Matt, you want to take us out here? Where can people learn about you?
Well, I'm Cleary Mateo, and I'm always on Instagram. I'm not anywhere else, and so I'm fully accessible at all times. I start every day by emptying out my DMs, addressing questions, insights, just anything. Send me some funny shit, man. Like, I always say, no one's on Instagram to be invisible, man. Throw people a like, give people a follow, and just be social on there. That's all it is, dude. Show some support to strangers. And if anyone ever has anything they'd like to say or send my way, I'm certainly available to address it and answer it. And I look forward to the engagement. Beyond that, for the people that formulate with Selfless 6, like Rob, like our dear friend Liam in the UK, thank you for the support. Thank you for leading the global charge and showing people by way of proof of concept how this game is played. And I thank you all for your support, man. I thank you for inviting me onto your show, and I'm grateful to be here.
You're awesome, man.
And Robic, and I don't remember the numbers that you have after your Instagram if anybody wants to chat with you.
Obviously, anyone can reach me at any point of time, either on Instagram or on Apollon Nutrition. And yeah, you know what, Matt is right. If anyone wants to ask us any questions, they can just reach out to us at any given point. We welcome any questions. We welcome any comments, concerns, etc. Because I think that it's very important to understand that we are providing services, business, ingredients, products for the I think what David said, I'm very grateful for that, because he said it's driven by passion. It is passion, but we also providing something for people's benefits. And at the same time, if somebody doesn't understand a certain product or ingredient, they can always ask us. Any one of us will be more than glad to answer a question, because that's what we're supposed to do. And sometimes I'll get this question where it starts off with, "I'm sorry, this might be a dumb question." There is no such thing as dumb question. It just doesn't exist.
True.
If you don't know something, you ask, and that's the only way to learn. You cannot get better without learning, and you cannot learn without asking. So that's very, very important. I would never make fun of anyone for any, so to speak, dumb question, because to me, you're already not a dummy if you're asking. You're a dummy if you assume that you know something that you actually don't.
Yep.
Right.
And also,
Well
before I
put,
forget,
well put.
Hooligan Chronicles on Friday. Any future guests you want to announce, Robert?
Yeah, I'm going to have Ari as a guest.
Oh,
I think he has a very, very. I'm actually was talking to him this morning, and that's one of the guests that I was very nervous about, because I think Ari has a very, very deep story, and where he's coming from, where he is, and what he's been through. And I think that sometimes I would like people that I would like to know more about David. I would like to know more about Matt. Not just the reviews, not just the ingredients, but you become friends with somebody, or you get to know somebody. You want to know them. You want to know the experiences in life, where they come from, and kind of find out more as who they are, not as a reviewer, not as an ingredient person, but somebody who knows, somebody who is interesting to you. And I think Ari has a very unique story, and I would like people to find out more about him, more than just a review channel.
Yep. Well, gentlemen, as always, I appreciate you all, and for everybody listening and watching, thank you so much for your time, and have a great week. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
All right.